hour ago came away with the Game 1 win over Flagler, a 4-0 victory for the Nighthawks, sends them to the winner's bracket. And facing off against North Georgia is going to be one of these two teams, Francis Marion or Columbus State. Let's talk about Columbus State first, Devin. Less than a week ago, they came to this exact spot, Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium, and did something historic, taking down the Nighthawks, breaking a 10 consecutive year streak that the Nighthawks had won the PBC Tournament Championship, came to Dahlonega and fought. They, with their backs against the wall, never quit, came back in Game 1, and then in Game 2 secured the PBC Conference Tournament Championship win for the first time since 2013.
Yeah, Columbus State last weekend showed a lot of grit, and really that's been the story of the season for Columbus State because, I mean, they kind of jumped out to a bad start. They were 5-11 to begin the season, and then, you know, the backs up against the wall, and they were down by 4 runs in the top of the 7th inning last week in the second game of the Peach Belt Conference Championship, and to be able to do that and be down that much where North Georgia could have taken the championship, and then you end up beating them in 2 and 3 games, and to take the championship just says a lot about this team.
And this is a battle between two conference tournament championship winners. Francis Marion coming into this matchup after winning the Conference Carolinas championship for the 2nd consecutive year. Ever since they've joined that conference, they have dominated. This is their 3rd consecutive appearance in the NCAA regional tournament. So two teams with a lot of momentum coming into this regional tournament as we are already underway, as this is going to be fouled away by Caitlin Kennedy, who is leading off the game for Columbus State. And following Kennedy in the lineup is going to be Caitlin Cooper, who's on deck. Kennedy shows bunt, pulls it back, and ball 2 outside from who else in the circle for Francis Marion, but their superstar sophomore pitcher, Alyssa Poston. She has been on an absolute tear this season. Conference Carolinas tournament MVP after going 3-1. This is going to be grounded to the second baseman, flip to first, gets it there on time. That was Gale making the connection to Watford for out number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun pitching matchup to see today between both of these teams. You got Jessica Lopez for Columbus State, and then you have Alyssa Poston for Francis Marion. It's going to be exciting to see what these two teams can do.
First pitch to Cooper is going to be a strike from Poston. Yeah, and Alyssa Poston quickly establishing herself as one of the best young pitchers in Division II softball. Not only was she the tournament MVP last weekend, also the Conference Carolinas Softball Pitcher of the Year. Member of the All-Conference team, like we just mentioned, tournament MVP, 4-time Conference Pitcher of the Week. Came over from Mars Hill, and in her first season as a Patriot, she's put together quite the historic season in the circle for her team.
Yeah, she had a really, really good run in their conference tournament because when you look at it, I mean, she struck out nearly 20 batters over the past 2 weeks.
This is going to be popped over the head of the shortstop. And Cooper gets into the hit column first for Columbus State. She hits a little blooper right over the head of the shortstop, Cuthbertson. Michaela Cuthbertson over there at shortstop. Puts a runner on first for Patton.
I think this is going to be a really, really close game between these two teams. Both teams winning their conference championships.
Yeah, bringing lots of momentum into this matchup at Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium. Lindsey Patton, a senior out of Loganville, Georgia, now up to bat. Big swing and a miss, and stealing second is going to be Cooper. Gets it there on time, puts a runner in scoring position for Patton, who's now in a 1-1 count against Poston.
Yeah, something we kind of saw earlier today for the first game of the Southeast Regional here in Dahlonega between North Georgia and Flagler was really you saw one team defensively make the mistakes and the other didn't. Now, not saying that necessarily handed North Georgia the win, but that certainly helped them. And really, if you take the one home run away, it was really a 2-0 game by North Georgia. But Flagler making defensive errors especially in the outfield. In tight games like this, which I think this is going to be one of those, you certainly don't want to have that early on. You saw that throw from the catcher go to second base that completely completely missed the player over at second.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of uncharacteristic errors from Flagler, a team that's been very clean when it comes to their fielding this season, and a couple of errors that definitely cost them potentially a run or two in that matchup. Now it's a full count for Patton. And the payoff pitch fouls this one back towards the net, so she'll get another crack at it here. Lindsey Patton has been nearly unstoppable in the playoffs. Back in that PBC tournament, batted .462 in the last 7 games, in fact. All but one of those games have been multi-hitters to go along with a ridiculous 14 RBIs and 5 home runs. As she hits this one to the second baseman, throw gets it there on time. Another connection between Gale and Watford, gets the out at first, but that's going to advance the runner to third in Cooper. And brings up the catcher, Nova Wright. Wright batting .322 on the season. Sophomore out of Loganville, Georgia. Keeps us in the infield. The throw to first on time as the shortstop Cuthbertson makes the play and keeps the Cougars off the scoreboard in the top half of the inning, as we are headed to the bottom half of the first, where Francis Marion will be up to bat. Madeline White leading things off for the Patriots when we come back on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
We have a long tradition of athletics at the University of North Georgia. For the past 50 years, our athletic programs have been making a difference for our university. And today, I'm really excited to talk about how we will take that to the next level. When you think about elite athletics, you think about elite performance. Mary Rob, tell me what that means to you.
So elite performance at the University of North Georgia is unique because we have a value proposition unlike anybody else in this country, where we're able to perform at the highest level because of our connections with our Corps of Cadets and our College of Health Sciences and Professions, coupled with our professionals from coaches, athletic trainers, support staff in our Department of Athletics, where we're preparing our student athletes to battle on the field of competition, in the classroom, and in our community. We'll be elite in everything we do.
So today, we are really excited to announce our strategic bet, where we are going to deliver elite performance, elite competition, and the most value-adding Division II athletic program in America. Go Nighthawks.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network for Game 2 of the NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament. First pitch to White. It's going to be fouled out of play. Makes it an 0-1 count, and getting the start in the circle for the Cougars is number 30, Jessica Lopez, senior out of Norwalk, California, making the long hike down to Columbus, Georgia. Pitches the 0-1 to White outside to even the count up at 1-1, and Lopez last weekend against North Georgia started that do-or-die game on Saturday. The first of 2 games on Saturday was pulled from that one in the middle of the game and then came back in to finish the job after Columbus State went up 5-4 on North Georgia after that massive comeback in the top of the 7th inning. And then she started game number 2 that day in the winner-go-home game for both North Georgia and Columbus State and came away with the win in that matchup. So she gets the start in the regional tournament today, Devin.
Yeah, that's something you want to see from a pitcher, to be unfazed, because you could get really down on the dumps. Oh, wow, I had a really poor pitching performance. But to be able to play on the exact same day and then finish it up and help your team to win your conference title, I think says a lot about her.
This is hit well into left and caught by the left fielder, Patton, for out number 1. So a quick plate appearance for Madeline White is going to bring up the left fielder, Emily Kantz. And in a little over 5 innings of action in the 2 combined games against North Georgia last Saturday, Jessica Lopez had a strong game, only allowed 3 hits, had 3 strikeouts as well. Limited North Georgia to just 3 runs during her time in the circle over those 2 games.
Yeah, and going on to the point I made, she only pitched a little over 2 innings. I mean, she got pulled in the 3rd inning of the game last Saturday. And then just to be completely unfazed, because normally in softball, it's 5 innings is where you would naturally get pulled after a game, normally to end the day for you and have somebody come in and close. But to be unfazed, to get pulled early and then reinserted back, that's something you want to see out of the pitchers.
Yeah, and closing out a game against one of the best teams in Division II softball in North Georgia. And she's got her work cut out for her, too, going up against another ranked opponent here in Francis Marion, ranked number 19 in the nation, jumping up a couple spots after winning their conference tournament in the Conference Carolinas last weekend. Emily Kantz shows bunt here, junior out of Latana, Florida. The 1-2 pitch to her is outside to even up the count. This is Kantz's first year with the Patriots. Was voted to the Conference Carolinas 2024 All-Conference team, the 2nd team, a couple weeks ago. Again, shows bunt here, pulls it back, the 2-2, a swing and a miss as Lopez picks up her first strikeout of the afternoon.
Now batting number 22, Taylor Watford.
That's going to bring up number 22, Taylor Watford. Senior first baseman out of Lamar, South Carolina. Another member of the all-conference team for Conference Carolinas. Watford named to the first team. Also a Conference Carolinas Player of the Week back on March 11th. Finds herself down in the count 0-1 against Lopez right now. And she's going to take strike 2 to go down even further.
Lopez starting to heat up on the mound.
And the 0-2 upstairs for ball 1. And in Francis Marion's Conference Carolinas tournament, they dominated through those first 3 games, taking down Barton College, then Young Harris, and North Greenville in back-to-back run rule wins. But that story was a bit different in the conference tournament championship as Lopez delivers ball 2 to even up the count. And in the game to clinch that conference tournament against Emmanuel, the Lions stunned Francis Marion with a 6-run 7th inning to come back and win that one 7-5 to force a winner-take-all game as the count's now full. And in that winner-take-all game, score was tied 5-5 heading into the bottom of the 7th inning. And the senior right fielder, Katie Smith, for Francis Marion, the hero, walking off the game with a 2-run homer to clinch the 2nd straight conference tournament championship, as this is going to be down in left field for Watford. A single for her puts the first runner on base for the Patriots with 2 outs. We'll see if the Patriots can make something happen here with the second baseman, Peyton Gale, up to bat. That walk-off win for Francis Marion, clinching them an automatic bid at the NCAA tournament, 2nd consecutive conference tournament championship for them. So with the second baseman, Gale, up to bat. Trying to make something happen with a junior out of Firestone, Colorado. The 0-1, a big swing and a miss from Gale is going to make it another 0-2 count. We saw Watford go down 0-2. Ran the count full and was able to pay it off with a single. And the 0-2 to Gale outside for ball one. Gale, a transfer on this Patriot squad, coming over from the University of Northern Colorado. This is her first year at FMU. Takes the 1-2 pitch, fouls this one out of play, so we're going to stay put at the 1-2 count. A very consistent starter on this team is Peyton Gale, starting 55 of the 56 games for the Patriots. And the 1-2 from Lopez. Another foul ball as the Cougars aren't going to be able to make a play. So two very emotional, I would say, conference tournament championship wins for these two squads. And that may be just what they need coming into regional play. The 1-2 pitch is going to be in the dirt.
Yeah, a little light in the fire. Not a bad thing at all. I mean, in a two-game series against Emmanuel to go down, and then the winner take all. Columbus State was in that same situation. So you got to imagine both of them are running off the momentum from last weekend.
Brendan Shabath and I talked about this in the previous game. North Georgia going up against Flagler. North Georgia was 1 out away, up 4 runs from clinching the PBC Tournament Championship. They bring in the Peach Belt Conference Pitcher of the Year, Tybee Denton, to get the final out. First pitch that she throws, Columbus State hits a 3-run bomb, and then after that it was smooth sailing for them. Speaking of smooth sailing, Gale hits one into left to keep this inning rolling for the Patriots. But yeah, Columbus State, they just continue to fight all season long, and really in this Peach Belt Conference tournament, that's been a common theme for them, where they've had their backs up against the wall multiple times, and every time they have persevered and they just continue to fight. Came back to win that game against North Georgia on Saturday in the top of the 7th and close things out in game number 2 on Saturday to win the PBC championship. Wild pitch from Lopez gets over the head of the catcher's right, advances runners to second and third, and Francis Marion starting to make things interesting. 2 runners in scoring position, and that's going to cause a meeting in the circle here for the Cougars.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it at the start of the broadcast. It's going to be a tight game between these two, and it was for the most part been showing through this first inning. But you know, Columbus State making a few mistakes here and there, and then Francis Marion able to get two hits with 2 outs. So now you have runners on third and second. You don't want to be the first team allowing any runs, because just something in a game like this, something you don't want to happen. Although I will say one thing that does go towards the advantage of, say, sports of baseball and softball is that it is double elimination, but always want to make sure you win that first game.
Francis Marion, when you take a look at how their offense has stacked up this season, 21st in total runs with 370, averaging almost 7 runs per game, 24th scoring offense in NCAA Division II. 25th in total hits with 480. They've since added to that with a couple here in the bottom of the first inning.
Yeah, you're kind of seeing that being the 21st team in the nation. You're kind of seeing that a little bit early on, having 2 base runners in scoring position early on in a game. You pretty much know that Francis Marion is getting ready to strike.
Brings up to bat number 14, Katie Smith, senior out of Greenwood, South Carolina, who we just mentioned earlier had that walk-off homer to win that conference championship game for Francis Marion. We mentioned how the team is bringing a lot of momentum into this matchup, specifically Katie Smith, Conference Carolina's 2024 All-Tournament team member. Also a part of the conference all-defensive team this year. The 2-2 to her is going to be outside, so the count's going to run full. Seen a handful of those full counts from Jessica Lopez here in this inning. And this has quickly become a big out if Lopez is able to get it on Smith. The payoff pitch, this is hit well into center field and back at the wall. That's dropped by the center fielder Wright, and that's going to score 2 runs as the Patriots punch first here in the Southeast Regional Tournament as they take a 2-0 lead over the Cougars. And Smith strikes again, picking up right where she left off in that conference championship tournament game. And
yeah, you could have probably the same person from that game last weekend in the conference tournament for Francis Marion. And the momentum is just keeping up. And I said, looks like the Patriots are getting ready to strike, and they have already with 2 runs. And that's a thing, if you're defensively for Columbus State, is that this team tends to score a lot of runs. But at the same time, you look at Columbus State, look at some of the Peach Belt Conference tournament results, especially against Georgia Southwestern. You know, Columbus State having to score double-digit runs to beat Georgia Southwestern just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Columbus State, no strangers to making comebacks. Did that a handful of times in the Peach Belt Conference tournament. Now down early 2-0 against Francis Marion. We'll see if the sophomore Michaela Goss can keep this inning going for the Patriots. Fouls this one out of play, so the count's going to be 1-2.
And I said another thing, too, is the defensive errors. Don't want to have that happen. We had one there, scoring 2 runs. So, you know, those errors, I mean, that was really the make-or-break difference for the game for North Georgia Flagler earlier today, and it's already hurting Columbus State here.
Yeah, that was a tough play in center field for Kennedy out there in center field for Columbus State as she lost track of the ball. So it's a 1-2 count for Goss. 1-2 cuts it close for ball 2. This is Goss's second year with the Patriots. She's had a bit of a journey this year. Began the season as the starting center fielder. Was in the flex position. But didn't bat to begin the year. Then worked her way as a regular starter in the batting order.
It's always good to find those gems in your roster, even people that normally wouldn't bat. I mean, one of the teams we cover here at North Georgia, we had a player on our baseball team who was a freshman, and, you know, normally they're not in the starting lineup, especially as like a DH, but we had one of them, showed impact when going into pinch hit in baseball games early on in the season. So, and we saw that he flourished throughout the year and ended up going up to the second batter in the lineup.
Yeah, very rarely do you see a starting lineup on opening day, whether that's baseball or softball, remain the exact same once it comes to the end of the regular season. You're bound to have some changes here or there, whether it's from injuries, players missing time, or, you know, some players just starting to break through. Goss, one of those players, takes the payoff pitch, hits this one deep into left field, and back at the left field line is the left fielder Patton, who makes the play, but the Patriots strike first in the bottom of the second. A couple of RBIs from the right fielder Smith gives Francis Marion a 2-0 lead as we head to inning number 2 on the Nighthawk Sports Network. back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Game 2 of the NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament. North Georgia, the number 2 seed, hosting half of the tournament here at Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium in Dahlonega. Wingate, the number 1 seed, hosting their half of the bracket. So we got the Cougars and the Patriots facing off here with a chance to face off against North Georgia tomorrow in the winner's bracket. It's going to be the designated player Laura Harris leading off this inning for the Cougars. Senior out of Powder Springs, Georgia. And the first pitch that she sees from Poston is a ball. Laura Harris, a part of the PBC All-Conference teams. One of 5 players that Columbus State had featured on those conference teams. Takes ball 3 from Poston. Wouldn't expect to see her swing on this next at-bat. She had a great performance against North Georgia last weekend, had 4 hits across those 3 games in the PBC championship. Went 4 for 10 at the plate. Takes a rebound strike here from Poston to make the count 3-1. Harris second on the team in batting order, or in batting average, excuse me, at .358. And it looks like the Patriots are going to go make a visit in the circle, as looks like Poston needed something out there in the circle from head coach for the Patriots, Stacey Vale.
Yeah, it looked like she might have needed a rag or something. Immediately grabbed onto it and wiped her left hand.
Patriots head coach Stacey Volley in her 20th season at the helm of FMU's softball program. The Conference Carolinas Coach of the Year after guiding her squad to a program record 45 wins and earning the team their highest ranking in the NFCA Coaches Poll since 2009 at 21. Now exceeding that at number 19 currently, as Poston is going to walk a batter, and Harris puts a runner on first for Brooke Miller. So congratulations to Coach Valley. She's been at the forefront of so many great Francis Marion teams, and this year she gets the recognition she deserves, being named the Coach of the Year in her conference.
Yeah, most definitely, in an ever-improving team, because especially when you look back at...
And the stolen base at second, not going to get there in time. Heads-up play there by the catcher, Smallwood, who got it to second in time and gets the out. Now no runners on, as Harris was caught stealing. Gives us our first out and a 1-1 count for Brooke Miller.
Yeah, good heads up by Patriots defense here, because you know Columbus State's probably going to get a little aggressive, being down 2-0 so far.
Grounder to first, as Watford gets back to the bag in time for out number 2.
Now batting number 24, Kenzie Bayer.
That's going to bring up the third baseman, Kenzie Bayer. Another member of that all-conference team in the PBC. Back-to-back member of the Peach Belt Conference all-conference first team. She had a great regular season, but she took her game to another level in the PBC tournament. Batted .478 in tournament play, 10 RBIs, 6 walks drawn, 7 runs scored. Had 3 home runs in consecutive games in the Peach Belt Conference tournament. she's been one of the biggest reasons Columbus State came away with that PBC tournament championship, and one of the big reasons that Columbus State is back here in Dahlonega this weekend. She's down in the count 0-2, shows bunt against Poston, pulls it back, takes ball 1. A little bit of an uncharacteristic performance to start this game from Poston. Hasn't struck out a batter yet as Bayer flies this one into right, and that's going to be caught by the right fielder Smith for out number 3. And so Columbus State still not on the board. Francis Marion will have a chance to add to that 2-0 lead when we come back here for the NCAA Division II Southeast Regional Tournament on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. If you're just now joining us alongside Devin Kupka and our producer Bailey Vessel, Robert DiClemente on hand for you this evening. Francis Marion, the number 3 seed, with a 2-0 lead over 6-seeded Columbus State in Game 2 of the Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament. As we head to the bottom of the second inning, it's going to be the catcher, Lauren Smallwood, leading things off here for the Patriots. Patriots took a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first inning. There are a couple of RBIs from the right fielder, Smith. Smallwood, a senior out of Waycross, Georgia. A 4-year letter winner with Francis Marion, a 3-year starter with the Patriots as well. Hits one high and deep into left field, and that's going to be caught by the Cougars left fielder, Patton. And a great rebound play here from this outfield for the Cougars after the center fielder Kennedy couldn't make a play to help put the Patriots up 2-0. Patton makes a great play there at the left field wall.
Yeah, it looked like it could have been a similar situation, as you mentioned there in the bottom of the first, where had a high fly ball to Caitlin Kennedy over there in center field, but Lindsey Patton able to make the catch and make the plays, I wouldn't say necessarily make the plays look easy, but make them kind of look somewhat routine.
And that's going to bring up number 15, Anderson Thrower, sophomore out of Hanahan, South Carolina. Second-year player with the Patriots. What a last name that is for a softball player, Thrower. Couldn't really ask for too much of a better, more fitting last name.
Yeah, it really is. It'd be even more fitting if it was a pitcher. But one thing that we've seen from Thrower this year, she missed the first half of the season with an injury, but she's batted really well in the multitude of games she's played since coming back from the injury.
And that's what you like to see when a player goes down with an injury, is not only do they get reinserted into the starting lineup, but they come back and they continue to play at a high level. Thrower doing just that, like you said, the 18 games that she's played in since returning to the lineup, batting .415. As the count is going to run full, Francis Marion fans not too happy with that call. Thought that was going to be ball 4. Instead, going to have a payoff pitch coming here. And the payoff pitch, this one is going to be fouled out of play.
Yeah, we mentioned, something you want to see out of a player that's coming back from an injury, because all injuries are different, and in all sports it's different too. But normally a lot of injuries, players don't come back the same way. So, and especially when you're out for an extended period of time too.
And we should have opened with this at the beginning of the inning, but walking that batter there is not Jessica Lopez, it's Haley Folds, now in the circle for Columbus State. Folds on the season posting a 7.42 ERA. Senior out of Dallas, Georgia. Did some pitching against North Georgia last weekend. Pitched on Friday and Saturday. Pitched a little over 4 innings, 4.2 to be exact. But a early pitching substitution here for the Cougars as they try to switch things up in the circle. This is hit deep and well into center field, and that one is out of here. Francis Marion pouring it on to open up this game, and a big home run by the shortstop, Michaela Cuthbertson, puts the Patriots up 4-0.
Yeah, big at-bat there to extend your lead over Columbus State, and it kind of makes you wonder, was the pitching change the right move? Because we saw last week Columbus State in kind of the opposite situation. The Nighthawks, when we put Tybee in last week, first pitch from Tybee was a 3-run home run. So you got to imagine for Columbus State, because sometimes, don't always want to make impulse moves, because we've seen it. I've seen it in baseball where you make an impulse move to change a pitcher. Maybe they walk just one batter, and then the next pitcher does even worse. So it's, sometimes you want to avoid those impulse moves sometimes. But Columbus State kind of oddly making a pitching change when really, I'd say the first inning wasn't all too bad, and maybe not enough to bring in a new pitcher for Columbus State. But kind of interesting, and it's going to be fascinating to see what the strategy is going forward now.
And we saw against North Georgia, Columbus State went through a couple pitchers in that first game on Saturday as the bunt here from White stays fair. A perfectly placed bunt by the third baseman, Madeline White, outruns the throw to first. And the Patriots are starting to build up a lot of momentum in this bottom of the second inning. Rolls on with just one out up on the scoreboard as well.
Yeah, they've kind of started to explode a little bit. Looks like Madeline White coming back.
They may have been ruled a foul ball. The count's going to be 2-1. And head coach Stacy Volley wants an explanation here. Doesn't look like the call's going to go her way. Count's going to be 2-1 as White steps back into the batter's box. And the 2-1 pitch outside for ball 3. But like we were just mentioning, it wasn't really Columbus State's pitching, at least in that first game against North Georgia on Saturday, that helped propel them to the win. It was the bats in the top of the 7th. That was the X factor in that one, as this ball is hit into left field and into the bullpen for Columbus State, so the count's going to run full.
Yeah, Then the point I was trying to make earlier, North Georgia was in that situation, except it's a little different, but like when you're looking at pitching changes and then maybe that wasn't the best move, if you look back at North Georgia, maybe they shouldn't have subbed out. And Columbus State subbing out a pitcher, and then 2 runs get scored, and you kind of wonder, would things have been different? Because I just feel like it's a little early to be switching pitchers, because it wasn't the worst inning in the world in the bottom of the first that you would need a pitching change by any means.
And it looks like head coach Brad Huskisson's coming out into the circle, and he's got his lineup with him. Be interesting to see here. And this is going to be the end of the evening here for Columbus State and Haley Folds. Cougars are moving on to their third pitcher here in Game 2 of the NCAA Southeast Regional Tournament. And out from the bullpen comes number 12, Grayson Gurley, member of that all-conference tournament team. Freshman out of Harlem, Georgia, stepping into a big spot here against the Patriots.
I think this is a good choice, especially if you don't want any more runs allowed, because Grayson Gurley has the lowest ERA on the team at a 5.06. But, you know, I also at the same time, when you look at the pitching changes, you could also see it as a recognition of the other team and saying, okay, you know, we recognize they can hit well. We might need to really make a change here. So maybe, I'm not saying Francis Marion's going easy on Columbus State by any means or anything like that, but the fact that they've gone to their third different pitcher in the second inning where you say, okay, I mean, for instance, you take that Flagler game, North Georgia had those back-to-back scoring innings, and there wasn't a pitching change then. But you gotta realize too that this might be a recognition of, okay, you know what, we gotta throw everything we got at Francis Marion.
And Grayson Gurley hasn't seen a ton of run this season. Has pitched a little over 21 innings. A third of that action came last weekend against North Georgia. Pitched in every game against the Nighthawks in the PBC Championship. Pitched 7.1 innings. And her performance in the circle led to her being named to that all-tournament team over in the Peach Belt Conference, as she limited that high-powered offense that the Nighthawks have. So now the Cougars on to pitcher number 3, and we'll see if Gurley is the answer for head coach Brad Huskisson. Delivers a strike to Emily Kahns. Kahns was struck out last time she was up to bat. She's got a runner on first in white with one out up on the board. Showed bunt for a minute, pulls it back, takes ball 2, left and outside. Emily Kahns leads the Conference Carolinas in runs per game, stolen base percentage as well. Not going to get a chance to add to it here as she's struck out by Gurley. Great start here for this new Columbus State pitcher.
Yeah, definitely you want to see an immediate impact. You're kind of seeing it there, getting that crucial second out. And Columbus State, will see what they have in store. So this is their third pitcher of the game.
That's going to bring Taylor Watford up to bat. And a lot of the success from Francis Marion this season can be traced back to their superstar senior, Taylor Watford. Set the team record with 77 RBIs this season, the second in Division II at that number. She's been one of the best batters in Division II softball, named to the 2024 NFCA Division II Player of the Year watch list. Takes the 2-0, grounds this up the left field line, and that's going to stay fair as Watford keeps this inning going, but the throw to third gets it there on time as the Cougars end this inning. A great play by Patton in left field makes the throw to third, and Bayer makes the tag to take us to the next inning. What a play there by the Cougars to keep this game at 4-0 as we head to the next inning here on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Lots of action going on here on the NSN at Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium. About an hour and a half ago, North Georgia, the number 2 seed in this Division II softball tournament, picked up the win over number 7 seed Flagler to advance to game number 3 tomorrow. First game set for noon tomorrow, taking on the winner of this game between Columbus State, the 6th seed, and the 3rd seeded Francis Marion Patriots. Cougars got some work to do up to bat in the top of the 3rd. It's going to be Madison McDonald leading things off for Columbus State, as Madison grounds this one to the short, throw to first, gets it there on time for out number 1. Seen a lot of that connection early in this one between Cuthbertson and Watford. Lots of balls going Cuthbertson's way, and she has been up to the task so far in this one. Gives us our first out in the top of the 3rd. And that's going to bring up Kara Wiginka, the first baseman, who skies this one, keeps it in the infield. That one doesn't even make it past 3rd base, as White comes up with the play. 2 quick outs, and Poston starting to show why she's one of the better pitchers in Division II softball. Makes the Cougars fall into a couple of routine plays. We'll see if Kennedy can keep this inning going. As Poston delivers ball 1. Caitlin Kennedy has had one of the best careers in recent memory for Columbus State. PBC Freshman of the Year and an All-American back in 2021. Has been named to the All-Conference team 3 times, including this year in the Peach Ball Conference. Had a great run in the PBC tournament last season. Also had a great one this year. Has stepped up her game to another level here in 2024. Finds herself up in the count 3-0 against Poston, as the catcher Smallwood will come out to quickly talk things over with her. You take a look at Poston's numbers. They have been fantastic this year. 1.81 ERA. She's pitched over 200 innings this year. That's easily the most on this Francis Marion pitching staff.
Yeah, over 100, not over 100, but close to 100 more innings than Jenna Walling for Francis Marion. Just a big separation between the 2 pitchers on their roster.
So after walking the leadoff batter in the starting lineup for Columbus State, Kennedy makes her way to first. It's going to bring the right fielder, Caitlin Cooper, back up to bat. Cooper responsible for the only hit so far this evening for Columbus State. Takes a ball from Poston. The 1-0 cuts it inside for strike 1. And the 1-1 to Cooper fouls this one back towards the net to make the count 1-2. It's been the seniors who have stepped up big in this tournament for Columbus State. They know what's at stake, with this being their last chance at a regional tournament championship and a chance to make the national championship down in Longwood, close to Orlando, Florida. As Cooper fouls this one out of play. Caitlin Cooper, another perfect example of that. She had a lot of multi-hit games in the PBC tournament, had a dominant 3-for-5 game at the plate to close out North Georgia, the tournament championship. all these seniors have turned the dials up over the last 5 games or so to make a final push. As this is going to be ruled ball 2 to even up the count. Deuces are running wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs as we get the double peace signs from the home plate ump. And the 2-2 from Boston. Upstairs, just outside of that top left corner of the zone to fill the count up. And the payoff pitch. This one's going to be fouled out of play, and the Patriots cannot make the play. A couple of Patriots in the area, and it's hard to tell. It doesn't look like a player went down. A couple of players in the area, though, for Francis Marion. That was the third baseman, White, and the left fielder, Kantz, over there to make the play. Trainer is coming out, though, to make sure that the third baseman, White, is all right.
Yeah, it looked like Madeline White kind of just slammed into the left field wall over by in between the dugout, and she kind of just slammed the wall. It looked like she might have did a flip afterwards, so maybe she was on it. That hit took her to the ground, but good to see she's back up on her feet and ready to roll.
The payoff pitch from Boston, another foul ball. It was a great effort there by this Francis Marion fielding, trying to make the play to take us to the bottom of the 3rd inning. With 2 outs, Cooper still up to bat, and the payoff pitch and another foul ball. Right fielder Cooper battling here with Boston. Boston looks down at her wrist, delivers the payoff pitch. Another one upstairs for ball number 4, and this inning will roll on for the Cougars. Runners now on 1st and 2nd for the left fielder, Lindsey Patton. Already a handful of walks in this one for Boston, 3 to be exact.
Yeah, this is a big batter to face for Boston. Don't want to allow anything because you already got to have a runner in scoring position. 2 runners on base.
That's going to be a big out for her against Lindsey Patton, the 2024 PBC Tournament MVP, who hits this one out of play to even up the count at 1-1. Patton's performance against North Georgia last weekend in the MVP of that championship series. The 1-1 from Boston. Another one outside. Makes the count 2-1.
Boston still looking for her first strikeout of the game.
And the 2-1 to Patton, who hits one into foul territory, and it's going to be caught by White. Comes up with the play to keep the Cougars off the scoreboard through the first 3 innings. We're headed to the bottom of the 3rd. Francis Marion still with a 4-0 lead over Columbus State in the NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament on the Nighthawk Sports.
NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network as the sun continues to set here in the Gold City of Dahlonega, setting the stage for Game 2 of the NCAA Southeast Regional Tournament. Columbus State has got some work to do, down 4-0 against the third-seeded Francis Marion Patriots. Patriots up to bat here in the bottom of the third inning. And the Cougars now rolling with Grayson Gurley in the circle for their squad, who came in the second inning, the third pitcher that's seen some action in the circle for the Cougars today. That's going to bring the second baseman, Peyton Gale, up to bat, responsible for one of the 4 hits for the Patriots today.
This is going to be a big inning for Columbus State because we're entering the third, and there's been an inning so far in the game that there's been no runs allowed, so they're looking for a quick inning. And they're looking for answers quick because we've mentioned it. I mean, going to a third pitcher before the third inning where things aren't really like super out of control, meaning that they really want to get on top of things quick and not get things out of hand.
And the 1-1 pitch is going to be fouled out of play by Gale. And even though Columbus State is down, what they've shown this season is they're not going to go down without a fight. With their backs against the wall, this team just refuses to quit. And the heart that they've shown has propelled them to another NCAA tournament appearance. Multiple times throughout that PBC tournament that Columbus State had their tournament hopes on the line, and they prevailed. They lost that first game in the tournament to Georgia Southwestern. Then they had to rattle off 4 consecutive wins to make it to the tournament championships. One of those games was a walk-off win. Dropped game 1 to North Georgia in the championship. Tournament hopes were on the line again. Needed 2 wins against the Nighthawks last Saturday. As this is hit deep into center field. And this ball is going to drop in center field. And this is going to be at least 3 bases. Potentially an inside-the-park home run, almost an inside-the-park home run from Gale, a triple, though she makes it to third base. And had she been looking at home plate on that play, she's got a big grin on her face, though. I'm sure she'll take the triple.
Yeah, she'll take the triple, but I think Peyton Gale probably could have easily gotten that inside-the-park home run in hindsight when you look at things. But, always a smart decision to stay at the base. Don't risk anything. But you're Columbus State. This is not something you want to see this early on, is that the pressure that Francis Marion is putting on your defense has not come to an end, and it's continuing, and it's already showing.
Yeah, wild throw that got away from right. Like we said, if Gale had her eyes on home plate, she probably could have easily scored. Like I said, I think she will take the triple here, especially with no outs, puts a runner easily in scoring position for the right fielder, Katie Smith. Smith takes the 1-0 from Gurley, cuts it close for strike 1. And Smith, last time she was up to bat, had those 2 RBIs to give the Patriots the lead in the bottom of the first inning. Takes the 1-1 from Gurley inside for strike 2. And Francis Marion really testing Kennedy over there in center field, sending a lot of balls her way. A lot of difficult plays that she's not been able to come up with so far in this matchup. That has been one of the few downfalls of this Columbus State team, has been their fielding this year. They have not been playing up to the standard of a lot of other Peach Belt Conference teams when it comes to their fielding. They have not had an error recorded yet in this game. It's just been a couple of tough plays that they've had to make and not been able to come out on the winning end of those.
Yeah, I've had a couple of moonshots by some of the players on Francis Marion to where it's kind of difficult to track. Is it going to go outside the park? Is it going to stay inside? We saw one to left field. We've seen twice to center field so far. Just off the top of my head, just kind of tough plays to make sometimes, and sometimes kind of a little bit difficult to track the ball. And I kind of wonder too, because now you're kind of getting in that space here, because this is a primetime game. Most of these teams are used to be playing in the day. There's not really a whole lot of night softball that happens at this level of play, especially in Division II. So you got to imagine, because the sky goes from a dark blue where you can see a yellow ball, but as the sky gets closer to nighttime, you have the sunset, turns orange, kind of yellowish. Wonder if that might have a little bit of a roll into it too.
Yeah, for those of you that are unaware, because of some rain in the area here in Dahlonega, this game's first pitch delayed by 3 hours. We were supposed to start the tournament at 2 o'clock with that matchup between North Georgia and Flagler, and then Columbus State and Francis Marion supposed to start at 4:30. And got a bit of a pickle here for Francis Marion after Smith was able to make it back to first base safely. Yeah, after some downpour here in Dahlonega, it caused some games to be moved back, and now Francis Marion and Columbus State starting this game 3 hours later than what they had originally anticipated.
Yeah, that you got to imagine that's changed things, because these players not too used to playing in prime time. But you might have saw there just a minute ago on there, Katie Smith was attempting to steal second, and you had Brooke Miller over there at second base. She kind of dropped it while Katie Smith was caught in between the bases, and that's a situation where you want to make that easy out, because normally if you're caught in between bases, you're not going to be safe. And in that situation, you got to make the out.
And right here, a low pitch from Gurley is going to advance Smith to second. So the count's now 2-2 for Goss. We saw last weekend Columbus State, North Georgia. That game had a rain delay as well. That game delayed by 2 hours right in the middle of that game. So we'd already started, and then we had some lightning in the area, so both teams had to go back to the locker rooms. Fans had to evacuate the stadium, go back to their cars, and wait out the rain. And after not playing for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, Columbus State came out the gate strong. But North Georgia prevailed, as this is going to be caught, and the double play is not going to be made, but a great catch there by the shortstop McDonald to give us the first out. Tried to flip it to third for the double play.
Great heads up by Madison McDonald getting that big first out, because there hadn't been an out. There could have been, Columbus State could be looking at 2 outs, because they could have easily have gotten Katie Smith out in between first and second, but good to get that first out, and they need to start applying pressure. You can see the infielders are coming in a little bit more with Lauren Smallwood up to bat for the Patriots.
Lauren Smallwood, she started 40 games behind the plate this season for the Patriots. Has a handful of multi-hit games, 10 multi-RBI games this season. In her career, batting .263. This is her 157th career game. Part of that all-conference Carolinas team. Takes the 2-0. Last time Smallwood was up to bat, she flew out. She's up in the count 3-0. And the 3-0 pitch. Looks like it's going to be 3-1 now is the count. Count was 2-1 beforehand, and then Gurley just pitched ball 3 there. And the 3-1 pitch to Smallwood. This one is outside for ball number 4. And the bases are loaded for the designated player, Anderson Thrower.
Yeah, things are starting to get a little out of control in the bottom of the third inning for Columbus State. Be interesting to see what the Patriots do and if they'll take advantage of the situation at hand.
So Anderson thrower up to bat. Last time she was up to bat in this game was walked. Can't afford another one of those here, though, if you're Gurley, as this is grounded and gets past the third baseman, as Francis Marion's going to get 2 runs out of this. And the Patriots have now scored 2 runs in back-to-back-to-back innings. A 6-run lead here for the Patriots, as they are starting to run away with it early.
Starting to see a common trend, and I've been saying it pretty much all game. Columbus State, you can't make defensive errors, and you had 2 just on that play alone, and that's one thing that you can't do. That just allowed 2 runs there. Pitch going over, or the throw going over first base, Kara Waginka, and you just can't have those defensive errors, and that's what I think is really holding back this Columbus State team. We've seen balls over to center field, and we've seen just mistakes all around on the defensive side of things.
This one's driven deep into center field and caught by the center fielder, but this is going to be another run up on the board here for Francis Marion as Smallwood comes home to extend this lead to 7-0. And that was a good rebound play there in center field by Kennedy to make the grab, but the sac fly scores another run, and the Patriots are now flirting with in run rule territory here.
Yeah, exactly. Basically just said what I was going to say right there, but you're in run rule territory. It might only be the 3rd inning going into the 4th, but Columbus State, you're going to need to start doing something on offense to kind of pull yourself back into this game. But yeah, good catch by Caitlin Kennedy to get that second out. Getting the 3rd run of the inning, though, does score, but got to imagine Columbus State has got to get something going soon.
Madeline White's up to bat, down in the count 0-2.
And one thing as well, mentioned it early, thought it was going to be a tight game, but in those games, the defensive mistakes changes everything, and that's what we're kind of seeing in this game, is that the defensive mistakes that Columbus State has made has really ended up costing them. Still yet a inning where they haven't allowed any runs yet, and we've seen 2, 2, and 3 runs so far with only 5 hits.
And like we said earlier, it hasn't necessarily been their fielding that has, wowed people this season. It's been their offensive onslaught this year that they have shown multiple times. Their bats, some of the best in not just the Peach Belt Conference, but in all of Division II softball. And the bats have got some work cut out for them once we can get to the top of the 4th inning.
Yeah, and that's going to be another thing, too, is to see how the bats will respond for Columbus State, because now the pressure's on them.
As White hits this to short, throw to first, gets it there on time for out number 3. But a 3-run 3rd inning from the Patriots extends their lead 7-0 as we head to inning number 4. Columbus State's bats got some work to do when we come back from this short commercial break on the Nighthawk Sports Network. We probably said that same thing. And back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network in the top of the 4th inning. Francis Marion, the number 3 seed in the NCAA Division II Southeast Regional Tournament, with a 7-run lead over Columbus State. And the Patriots still rolling with their superstar sophomore pitcher, Poston, in the circle. And these Columbus State bats, who have been proven to be very successful all season long, got their work cut out for them here in the top of the 4th, and it's going to be the catcher, Nova Wright, leading things off here for Columbus State.
Yeah, the pressure is going to be on the Columbus State bats. We were mentioning it at the bottom of the 3rd inning because only 1 hit to show for it in 3 innings so far. Down 7 runs, and you're in that run rule territory, so got to get the bats working and maybe work some a little bit magic that they had against the Nighthawks just last weekend.
Like we've said earlier, Columbus State no stranger to the comeback. We saw them mount multiple comebacks in the Peach Belt Conference tournament, and they've got their work cut out for them going against one of the best pitchers in Division II softball in Boston, who delivers the 0-2 outside for ball one. It'll be interesting to see if Columbus State can get something going here early in the inning with no outs up on the scoreboard as Boston delivers the 1-2. This is going to be fouled out of play. Patriots aren't going to be able to make a play on it. But, Devin, you mentioned this during the commercial break where, Columbus State, they tend to get 2 outs early, a couple swings and a couple of routine plays for the fielding for Francis Marion, puts 2 outs up on the scoreboard. But then Boston and the Patriots have struggled a bit to kind of put Columbus State away after that. They've, limited Columbus State. They've cut them off the scoreboard thus far, but it'll be interesting to see if they're able to work early here with no outs up on the board as they try to get some early runners on for these batters who are on deck.
Yeah, this would be a good time to exploit Francis Marion's weakness, and I feel like we kind of saw it a little bit in the last top of the inning where, they get the easy out or easy 2 outs, and then, things not necessarily explode or anything, but they get a runner or 2 on base. But that's when you need to be able to exploit, because meaning that the stamina at the mound gets worse and worse the longer an inning goes on.
So after Nova Wright just flew out to right field, it's going to bring the DP, Laura Harris, back up to bat. Takes ball 1 from Boston. Laura Harris serving as the DP during this postseason run. Hasn't had a ton of at-bats over the last handful of games, but she's absolutely made the most of them. Batted .522 in PBC tournament play with 9 runs and 9 RBIs. Recorded a hit in every single conference tournament game for the Cougars. So they're going to need her bat to get warmed up here, unless Boston has something to say about it as she delivers strike 2. Harris shows bunt, pulls it back. Outside is ball 2. Boston still, like you said, without a strikeout in this one. It's walked 3 batters, and it's been routine plays, and the fielding has been able to get these outs as this is hit into foul territory, and making the run up and the grab is the first baseman, Watford. Makes the grab for out number 2, and, this is where we, want to see Francis Marion kind of close out Columbus State with the 2 outs up on the board. Cougars not going to go down without a fight. Like we said, doesn't matter what the circumstance is, whether there's 2 outs, they're down runs in a game, they're in a must-win situation. Columbus State's going to fight no matter what. They are not going to be an easy team to get out, and they're going to try to keep this inning going with a second baseman, Miller.
Yeah, I remember, going into this year, when you think about it, looking at Columbus State as a team, you looked at it from early in this season. I remember we were discussing it at the beginning of the year, because Columbus State, last year, they were the second best team, and they were really, really good last year. Now, they did lose some key pieces in the offseason of their team, which, yes, they have regressed a little bit.
And strike 3 called as Boston ends the inning with her 200th strikeout of the season. A big one there keeps the Cougars off the scoreboard as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Patriots with a 7-0 lead over Columbus State when we come back on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
In a world driven by innovation and ambition, it's not just about following the path. It's about creating your unique journey. At Francis Marion, you'll acquire the knowledge and skills you need to create the future you want. And you'll do it all surrounded by a community that's strongly committed to your success and your future. Francis Marion University, South Carolina's premier educational choice.
It's a 7-0 lead for Francis Marion, the number 3 seed in the NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament. 6-seeded Columbus State has got some work to do. Got some work to do with their pitching and their fielding here, as Francis Marion has scored in every inning of this game. A 2-run first, 2-run second, and a 3-run third has propelled them to a 7-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. And it's going to be the left fielder, Emily Kahns, leading things off here for the Patriots in the bottom of the 4th. Emily Kahns grounds this to the short. Then that throw gets over the head of the first baseman, and Kahns is gonna be safely on first. She looks to be a bit shaken up as she's gonna try to walk this off, but again, another error here for the Cougars puts a runner on base for Francis Marion, Devin.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of been what the story of the game has been for Columbus State, is just the fielding errors, and that's not the first time, we've seen some in the outfield, but that's not the first time we've seen it over in the third base area of Kara Waginka. At some point, some of these things is really what's kind of holding them back when you look at it, is the fielding errors. And I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, it's, in what we thought was going to be a tight matchup is really, those errors can make or break you as a team, and it's kind of what has really helped Francis Marion, is that the defense of Columbus State is making some untimely errors, something we didn't really see too much last week against North Georgia. And when it comes to the NCAA tournament time, things tighten up, and you're facing off against really, really good teams compared to where your conference tournament, you're facing off against everybody in the team from top to bottom, but now you're really facing the 8 best teams in the region.
This one's driven into left, and that's going to drop for another base hit for Francis Marion as a runner is being waved home, and the Patriots pouring it on. An 8-0 lead as Kahns shows off the speed and comes home. And another base hit, that one coming from the first baseman, Taylor Watford, puts the Patriots up 8-0 and now are officially in run rule territory.
Yes, they are. And then also, another credit to Francis Marion as well. They're able to, their bats are really good right now. 6 hits so far in the game, and they're really able to adjust to anything that's thrown at them. I mean, Columbus State's changed pitchers 3 different times, and they've been able to execute on every single one of them. So, Francis Marion looks like they're the team that is carrying the momentum so far from last weekend.
And an almost double play there made by the third baseman, Bayer, who caught the ball and threw it back to second, but Watford able to get back to second. That ball actually got a piece of her right leg, it looked like. And it looks like Coach Valley out here may make a substitution. Looks like they're going to have a pinch runner going out there to second base. And that's going to be number 2, Paige Strickland, sophomore out of Creedmoor, North Carolina. Primarily being used as a pinch runner here this season. Has 11 runs in her 30 appearances this season. And the pitch is going to be upstairs to Smith. Katie Smith today has reached base on both of her at-bats. Had a hit her first time up to bat with a couple of RBIs and was walked last time she was up to bat. Fouls this one out of play to even up the count at 1-1. Yeah, but some of the mistakes that Columbus State has made in this game, not mistakes that you can make against this Francis Marion team. Patriots have been on a tear, ending their regular season and in the Conference Carolinas tournament, won 9 of their last 10, 3 run rule wins. This is going to be grounded into left, throw to third is on time. Nice rebound play there as McDonald was able to keep the ball in the infield and gets it to Bayer at third on time for out number 2.
Yep, take the runner out of scoring position. Stops the bleeding just a little bit. I mean, you're still in that run rule territory, and it's really the make or break inning in the top half of the frame in the 5th. But good play there. Take the runner out of scoring position. Now 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th.
That's going to bring Goss back up to bat, who fouls this one out of play. Had a nice swing on it there. She's going to walk back, though, into the batter's box. Down in the count, 0-1. The center fielder, Michaela Goss, has flown out on her 2 plate appearances today. Looking for something different here as Gurley gets a new softball. And Francis Marion's only loss in their last 10 games came off of that massive comeback against Emmanuel, who took a game from them in the conference tournament championship. As this pitch from Gurley is inside for strike 2. That was a massive comeback from Emmanuel. Came away with a 7-5 win in that do-or-die game from them, and then Francis Marion came back in the winner-take-all Game 3 of the Conference Carolinas Tournament Championship, and they ended up winning that game 7-5. And so Francis Marion, they have let up a comeback in a big spot. Emmanuel scored 6 runs in the 7th to come away with that as Gurley gets the ball right back, throws it to first base for the easy out. As we head to the top of the 5th inning, Francis Marion up 8-0 as we head to the top of the 5th here, trying to close out the Cougars in Game 2 of the NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Regional on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
We have a long tradition of athletics at the University of North Georgia. For the past 50 years, our athletic programs have been making a difference for our university. And today, I'm really excited to talk about how we will take that to the next level. When you think about elite athletics, you think about elite performance. Mary Rob, tell me what that means to you.
So elite performance at the University of North Georgia is unique because we have a value proposition unlike anybody else in this country, where we're able to perform at the highest level because of our connections with our Corps of Cadets and our College of Health Sciences and Professions, coupled with our professionals from coaches, athletic trainers, support staff in our Department of Athletics, where we're preparing our student athletes to battle on the field of competition, in the classroom, and in our community. We'll be elite in everything we do.
So today, we are really excited to announce our strategic bet, where we are going to deliver elite performance, elite competition, and the most value-adding Division II athletic program in America. Go Nighthawks.
Back with you here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Top of the 5th inning. Columbus State trying to mount an 8-run comeback against the 3rd-seeded Francis Marion in the Division II Softball Southeast Regional Tournament. And leading off the inning is going to be the 3rd baseman, Bayer. Down in the count 0-1 against Poston. Count's now evened up at 1-1, and barring a pinch hitter, guaranteed to see Bayer, McDonald, and Wiginka up to bat here, the 7, 8, and 9 hole hitters, as this is going to be fouled out of play by Bayer. Columbus State down to their potential final 3 outs, and you want to say potential because with the comeback abilities that this team has, they are down but never out of a game, as this is hit well into right field. Stepping up a few steps is the right fielder Smith to get the first out.
Yeah, all the pressure's on Columbus State's bat to stay alive for the next at least 2 innings. As make a quick work of them, it'll be the end of this one, and Columbus State will have to face off against Flagler tomorrow.
It's very rare that you see Columbus State shut out in a game. It's only happened a couple of times this season. Top 10 scoring offense in the nation. They average more runs per game than innings in a regular softball game.
Francis Marion so far tonight has had Columbus State's number.
Cougars need to make something happen and need to make something happen fast here with the shortstop. This is going to be low for ball 1. And we do have a pinch hitter up to bat here for the Cougars, and it's number 14, Kristen Odom. Odom batting .309 on the season. This is her 56th at bat. Takes ball 2 from Poston. Odom, a senior out of Sharpsburg, Georgia. Had an appearance against North Georgia last weekend, went 0 for 1 at the plate. Drives this one into right center field, and it's going to be the center fielder for Francis Marion, Goss, making the play, and now the Cougars are down to their potential final out in this one.
Now batting number 17, Cora Wajika.
So the Cougars return to their starting batting order with the first baseman, Wiginka, up to bat. See if she can keep this game alive for Columbus State. And she takes strike 1 from Poston. And the 0-1 is going to be low for ball 1. Poston trying to close this game out. The 1-1 pitch, a big swing and a miss from Wiginka. Now the Cougars down to their last strike. And the 1-2 from Poston. This one's going to be fouled out of play. Patriots are going to be unable to make a play, so the count's going to stay at 1-2. This Columbus State team, one of the best in the nation at hitting home runs. One would be big here from Wiginka. Shows bunt, pulls it back, keeps us fair up the first base line. Throw to first, gets it there on time, and that is gonna do it. The Patriots punch their ticket to game number 3 tomorrow and cruise past the Cougars, setting up a date between Francis Marion and North Georgia tomorrow. And Columbus State needs to claw their way out of the losers bracket to keep their season alive against Flagler tomorrow. So this is how the schedule is going to shape up tomorrow. Game number 3 at noon is going to feature North Georgia versus Francis Marion. And then at 2:30 tomorrow, it's going to be Columbus State taking on Flagler. Two Peach Belt Conference teams battling with their seasons on the line. And then the loser of that North Georgia Francis Marion game is going to take on the winner of that Columbus State and Flagler game. And in this matchup between the Patriots and the Cougars, the Patriots come out on top, winning this one 8-0 in a run rule victory. And Devin, these bats for the Patriots showed why they're some of the most dominant in the nation, and a couple of unfortunate errors here from Columbus State was the deciding factor in this game.
Yeah, Francis Marion was really in control from the start of the game. I mean, yeah, you had that one hit that came from the top of the first inning from Columbus State, and it looked like it was going to be a back-and-forth battle, but it was all all Francis Marion the whole entire game. The bats were just on fire for the Patriots today, and they were just simply in control. And on the flip side for Columbus State, I think you look back on this game and you say, okay, well, we need to clean up things defensively. Some of the errors and mistakes where probably could have had at least 3 runs, probably taken 2 or 3 runs taken off the board just due to some of the defensive errors that were made in the outfield. So you just got to field things a little bit cleaner, just kind of clean things back up, but also kind of get that fire back, because last week when Columbus State took on North Georgia, really after they won that first game, they were in complete control and they were on fire, and it was just hard to deal with them and it was hard to shut them down. But Francis Marion able to do that. And Robert, it's going to be a big game tomorrow between these two teams. I think North Georgia and Francis Marion, honestly, when you look at it, the Nighthawks, with how their season's gone and the adversity they've felt, this is probably going to be the biggest matchup of the year for the Nighthawks tomorrow, because just simply due to the fact that, you had all that adversity, and Nighthawks really the last half of the season haven't been playing the same. There's injuries that go along with that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we're going to see how we play against a really, really good team, because they were in complete control. And Francis Marion kind of reminded me of what the Nighthawks were kind of earlier in the season, where they were fully in control and they were able to kind of ask for runs anytime they could get it, and they were able to do it. Things a little bit different. So it's going to probably be the game of the day tomorrow. Francis Marion, North Georgia. It's going to be an exciting one here at Haynes and Carolyn Hill Stadium.
No doubt about it. Had an action-packed day of softball today. Going to have even more action for you tomorrow for day 2 of the NCAA Division II Southeast Regional Tournament. It's going to be a top 25 matchup between North Georgia and Francis Marion to kick things off tomorrow, and we'll be back with you at noon. Brendan Shabath and myself will be on the call for that North Georgia Francis Marion game, and then following that, it's going to be Flagler and Columbus State playing with their seasons on the line at 2:30, and game number 5 scheduled for 5 p.m. tomorrow. On behalf of Devin Kupka and our producer Bailey Vessel and the rest of the NSN team, this is Robert D. Clemente saying thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your evening.